Yeah, good for a Monday.
Uh-huh. It's up and down weather-wise. Looks like it's warm, but it also looks like it can pour it down.
I know. It's like, yeah, same here in Somerset. You're in Norfolk, right?
Yeah, so it's both sides of the country, west, the east.
Exactly.
So
Cool. How have you been
yeah,
last week?
not bad. So we met in Bread and Jam Festival. How
Mhm.
how did you find it?
I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was again like first time back in real life events after the last couple of years. And I thought it was fantastic to get in the same space as get in the same room as people. I mean,
Yeah,
that's how we met. I just sat next to you in one of the big conference talks.
yeah.
And you gave me a flyer and we started chatting and here we are right now. So it was like, that's what it's all about, is to meet people and not sit there going, oh, should I say hello? It's like, just go and say hello. You didn't come here to sit in the corner. You've got to get out there and speak, isn't it?
I found that really hard. There's moments where I wanted to be out there and try and talk to lots of people, but you don't know if it's rude to interrupt or if people are just focused on certain things. So it was a hard one.
It's difficult. I mean, I remember thinking that there's a few networking events I've been at where I really didn't want to network. And I just forced myself to get there. And I sort of ended up just talking to people that I knew.
Hmm.
And then it's what you're telling yourself in here. And it's also how you feel. But then as soon as I realized that everyone at a networking event is there to network. So, and all you have to do is go up and say hello with a smile and you're off to the races.
Yeah.
And so I did a talk at Bread and Jam on Tuesday morning. So my commitment was finished. So I could have gone home.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, I'm going to hang around for the whole time and just literally talk to anybody that I catch eye contact with.
Did
Um,
you
and that's the whole point, isn't it?
did you hear any other talks on the Wednesday? Because I saw you around, but
Yeah. So we met on the Tuesday night. I think we sat in the pitching event. It was the
yeah,
rapid fire pitching, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yeah. The next big thing.
yeah.
Um, and so the next day I was like, I don't really want to sit and just listen to people talking to me. I've kind of done that today. What I wanted to
Okay.
do was I wanted to not work it, but I wanted to spend as much time in the hall with all the stands. So and I literally just decided I was going to I was going to go to the stand closest to the door and just work my way up. That was my plan.
Yeah.
Of course, I sort of pinballed around, and I've actually got a post. I think I posted this on LinkedIn maybe a couple of days ago, but it was like my highly sophisticated strategy was to walk up to people with a smile and say, "Hey, how are you finding the festival?"
Yeah.
And I was like, from that point, I was going to be like, who's going to ask the first question? Are they going to try and pitch me everything that they're trying to doing? Like, am I a prospective customer, or are we going to have a conversation? And
And did it
the
work?
really, yeah, it was great. It was great. Most people just sort of said, "Yeah, well, I'm great. How are you? How are you
Mm.
enjoying it?" So I wasn't sure if people were going to, yeah, like I said, jump into the moment of like sell, or if it was more like, "Hey, who are you? Let me find out who you are before I pitch you." Um, so I spoke to a couple of guys that do branding,
Yeah.
somebody that sells glass jars,
Yeah.
and I was intrigued with the glass jars because he was a really nice chap. He was telling me all about the glass jar production and had a nice brochure, and I was a bit like, but these glass jars look exactly the same as what I used to scrape honey out of as a 4-year-old, and that was 41 years ago. Like, surely by now a glass jar is a real unit commodity. It's like, it's a jar. That's what it
Mm.
does. There's no, I might be wrong, and I tried to find this out, but like, is there any innovation in glass? Like, the product's got a top, you screw it on and you put stuff in it, you stick a label on it. I mean, it has to have safety requirements and XYZ. I mean, you might know through your product, but like I actually asked the guy, I said, so how does, why isn't this just something that I'm measuring on like they are a fraction of a penny more expensive, so I'm going to go with the cheaper guys. Why is it just that pure commodity? So
Cool.
interesting.
So, could you delve into more of your background, where you come from and what you do?
I'm a crocodile wrestler.
Well, that's a good start.
Exactly. I'm the father of 4.5-year-old twins, which is who are my crocodiles. And when I'm not wrestling crocodiles, I'm a pitch coach, and I help people catch the attention of their audience so that when you're having this conversation, I know that your attention is with me right now because I've told you about crocodiles and you're like, what? And then once I've got your attention, then I tell you what I really do. And when I'm not wrestling crocodiles, I'm a pitch coach, and I work with startup founders, tech company CEOs, corporations, teams, students, and just help people enjoy this moment of when they are networking, connecting, pitching, selling. How do they tell stories that their audience feel a stake of ownership in?
And how did you get into that?
So I got into it through advertising. So I used to live in China. So I moved to China in 2004, and you're heading off to the Philippines soon. So we've got that sort of Southeast Asia connection. So I went to Beijing in 2004 to teach graphic design for 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years, 16 years. And I just fell in love with, I already knew that I liked Asian culture because I'd been to Korea when I was at university. I did an exchange program. And then China was just so exciting, is so exciting. It's not going to stop being exciting. It was, for me at that point, I was single. I had lots of energy. I was interested, curious, and I had friends in there already. And we just landed in China and teaching graphic design, exploring the city, meeting people, going out in the evenings. And then 2 years turns into 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years, getting married, having a family. And then we came back to England for 1 month at the end of 2019. And 2020 happens and we're still here. So I'm now with my family living in my parents' house. And my parents are a bit like, really? 2.5 years later, you're still here?
I know the feeling.
Yeah, yeah. But, when my parents can be active daily grandparents, that they can see their grandchildren growing up around them every day, and it's not just holidays and stuff like that. Everybody loves it. We're almost like flatmates, like 3 generations all living in the same place.
That's quite cool. So, what are your preconceived thoughts on Breadrin as a brand, or what you're expecting to try from the bottle?
Well, let me unblur first so we can see it properly. There we go. So you gave me this at the event, which was very nice. It's been in the fridge since I got back on Wednesday evening. And I'm quite interested. If you'd asked me about this five years ago, I would have politely said no, thank you. Because 5 years ago, I wasn't a dad. And going to have a beer, I wanted a beer. I didn't want a low alcohol, essentially adult 7-Up, right? Low alcohol beer is just sweet, bubbly drink that just tastes like kids drink, but with alcohol in it. So I would have been like, no, not interested. However, when you mentioned it, I was completely the other side of interest. I was super interested because now I have kids. Drinking is not something that you can just do whenever you feel like it. You have to sort of think, well, where are we? How do I get home? I have to look after my family. And also just hangovers and children just do not mix.
No.
So hitting it hard, getting old, and your body can't process everything as much as it used to. And then your little children alarm clocks come running in at whatever time on a Saturday or Sunday. It's like you're doomed. You like trying to deal with children and hangovers, like no. So I was really intrigued. And and you sort of told me that it was based on a drink from excuse me, I can't remember the country. Was it?
Let's say it's Eastern Europe, so Russia, Ukraine, that area.
So the way you pitched it was a drink in that region which is more popular than Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Because I've been to Africa and sat on a bus driving through Zimbabwe many, many years ago. And you don't see any building for miles. And this little building appears on the horizon line. The building gets closer. And as you drive past the building, it's got Coca-Cola written on the side. So like, it's ubiquitous. It is everywhere. Like, it is cheaper to buy water, and it's cheaper to buy Coke in China than it is water. And then when you make in Eastern Europe, this is more popular than Coke. I was like, that stuck out. because I was like, wow, what can beat Coke? Because
so when I did background research on this product, the history behind it was because water was unsafe to drink. They've fermented it with bread, and so it became like a staple, like a healthier version of water, or a cleaner version. And then they just got hooked onto it. Although, yes, my product is very different to your classic. So your classic is made with rye. It's quite sweet. It's quite dark in colour, and it's very different. So, but it's the same process behind it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, exactly. For a long time, water wasn't safe to drink, was it? So it had to go through a process of some sort of process to take all the nasties out of it. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I'm interested because it's like for me right now, my priorities have changed massively. And so again, like took my kids, my twins go to gymnastics, and they met a friend at gymnastics. So obviously her dad and I sort of hung out, we've become good friends, and he's the landlord of a pub. And so we met in the park on a Sunday morning. He then had to get back to the pub. So I was like, hey, well, the kids are all having fun. You have a pub garden. Well, we just go back to the pub and I get to have a beer. Whee! Yeah. Yes. And so, of course, one beer goes down quite fast. And then you're like, oh, I've got to stop. And then he was like, do you want to try a non-alcoholic beer? And I was left in my expectations were set on previous, experiences. And I was like, okay. And because he's a landlord and he purchases all the product, I was like, he's gonna suggest something that he's got the best thing he can suggest. He's going to suggest right now. So he brought something out, and I drank it, and I was really pleasantly surprised that it sort of almost tasted like beer. It was cold. It was crispy. It did everything that I needed it to do, but without the alcohol. And the taste was just a little bit below. And that was, I think, expectations. And one thing that's quite interesting, so I don't know about where you are in East Anglia, but like when I was staying at my friend's place in Streatham, South London last week to go to Bread and Jam Festival, drinking water out of the tap tasted different than it does here in Somerset. And I was like, oh, water, it's not good. Well, it's not that it's not good, it's healthy.
It's heavier.
But yeah, my taste buds are used to 2.5 years of Somerset water and 16 years of Beijing bottled water. So I noticed the difference in the water there. And I think with the low alcohol stuff, you don't need to force yourself to like it. You just need to adapt and get your taste buds get more familiar. So over time, you're anticipating the taste, and you're not measuring it against a sort of hoppy IPA at 4, 5, 6% or whatever. You're measuring it at this is a substitute. This is a substitute drink. So that was the things about it.
Do you want to crack it open?
Yeah, I was going to say we should stop talking about it and open it.
Be careful.
I know. I was trying to find a light I'm doing it the old school way with a cigarette lighter, which is not the best. But I couldn't find the bottle opener, so here we go.
Wow.
Any
Cheers.
pouring tip?
No, just go for it.
It's got that lovely click, 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 click. Nice. So there's the pack shot, Breadrin.
Oh.
That's what my arms look like when I pick up my twins. Okay, cool. So yeah, this way it smells. I'm glad it's not sweet.
No. And I base that on because health is crucial. And I wanted to have it under the amount for sugar. So it's under that 5 grams per 100 mil. So it's very low on sugar, but enough to ferment.
Yeah. So tell you, well, now it's your turn. Tell us how did you get this bottle in my hand? What is your founder story?
So I watch Sunday Brunch. I love Sunday Brunch on Channel 4. And I found this segment where they were talking about Eastern European food. And at the time I was baker. And I was like, the last one, they mentioned a drink made with bread. And it just made me sit up and hear. And after that, I love being different. I love doing something that no one's really heard of. So I did my research and found, same as when I told you the story about Coca-Cola, when I did the research that came up, I was like, why this is heard massively over there, loved by millions of people over there. Why isn't it heard over here? And it just snowballed into a fascination in creating my own version. And so I, at the time, had loads of sourdough left over. So that was my main product. Instead of rye, we used sourdough. Then I thought, what's a flavour combination with sourdough? And at the time, it's lockdown. You see sourdough everywhere. And the biggest one is called avocado on toast. So I was like, can I do avocado on toast with a drink? And that's how it just snowballed into this idea.
Wow. And do you have any heritage connections to Eastern Europe or anything like that?
No. Well, my stepmom's Czech, but that's very not a big connection. So I've never been a brewer. Never brewed in my whole entire life. I have no idea about the drinks industry, so this is very new to me.
Wow. And then, so you basically got into it through the fact that you were a baker.
Yeah, and just found a story that connected with me, and I just went for it and saw it.
Fantastic. And so when did that?
That was 2019.
Okay.
When I saw that episode. So I've been working on it since.
Ah. And how do you feel it's going? What's your, like, where are you in a timeline of, like, because you basically offered to ship this to me for this conversation, but you end up giving me one. So, like, how many bottles are you producing? Like, what's your sort of?
So I've got a brewer up in Scotland, and I know that you've got to have a good price on producing it. So I did a first batch, which was a lot more than I should have done. A lot of people told me, Kev, you're producing way too much. I thought it was enough. Still got some of that stock left. So I produced around 2,500 bottles from the start.
Right.
and that's just me never brewing it before, so it was a risk to take it. But I've been trying to get it out there more and more, and I'm doing more of these tasting sessions. So a part of my stock is going towards these tastings to hopefully produce like a talk around my product.
Well, exactly. If people, the same with anything, isn't it? Like making it is one part, but actually marketing it, talking about it, getting it in the hands of people, totally different. Like just because you got the box of beers doesn't mean that anyone's going to care about it. And that I've just launched a book. Nobody cares about the book until you start telling them about the book and why did you write the book and all that sort of stuff. But so if I'm going to reflect on the flavor.
So I do a drink advisor. I do this thing called drink advisor. So similar to like Trip Advisor. So could you give me a rating out of 5?
Okay. And any criteria? Is there any? Is it just
as a whole round marking out of 5?
I'd say it's about 4 out of 5.
Cool. And what would your headline comment be?
It's not sweet.
Okay.
And I think, like, you can taste the yeast, you can taste the bread, and so you've got a savory palate. And the avocado I wouldn't notice, but I think my palate's quite clumsy.
So you should get like a subtle aniseedy taste, and that comes from the avocado leaves. And then you should get like a citrusy note from the kaffir lime leaves.
Again, it's like if you're not there to highlight what I should be tasting, I would just sort of say it tastes fresh, crisp, and these aren't really tastes, but these are sensations: fresh and crisp and savory. But now you say lime leaf, I'm catching the lime leaf. I'm not catching the avocado, but again, I think that's probably me. And then the sour bread, like I feel like I've just eaten a sandwich in a good way. Like I have a sweet tooth and it switches on and off. So sometimes I got like super sweet tooth. I just want to chomp down on bits, and then I'm not bothered. And I think if I'm thinking about a customer experience. Sorry, do you have any more questions on your rating?
No, go for it. Go for it.
So I'm imagining me enjoying this. So I'm going down the supermarket. So the other day I went to the supermarket and I was like, I need to buy some non-alcoholic beer because we're going to a barbecue. I got to drive there. It's a hot, super sunny day. I want to have a couple of beer. Well, I want to have a beer, and the low alcoholic beers I bought, I'm a bit disappointed with.
Yeah.
If I saw this in the supermarket and I knew this would be my sort of pickup of choice to be the second, third, and fourth beverage at a barbecue that I had to drive to, because it's got everything that beer needs: bubbles, cold, refreshing, and but we're not just kind of it's not sweet. And cider's a bit sweet, and some of these alcohol, beer is essentially quite a lot of sugar. So that sort of means that you can enjoy it with your burgers or your food or your chips. You can, whatever you're eating at a barbecue or a meetup or at a pub or anything like that, it's complementing. I suppose that's because of the bread, the baking expertise that you bring to it. But I mean, I'll be telling my mate with the pub about this, and just letting him decide if that's something that he wants to stock. But yeah, as in, like, I've tasted and thought, yeah, this is nice.
Cool. So I try and talk. So a couple of topics I want to bring up. So what is because at Breadrin Jam I did a pitch to Not on High Street, and I think I said that to you on the Tuesday. So what are your 5 top tips on pitching to someone like Norton High Street or other retailers?
I don't have particular, like, in terms of like pitching F&B to retailers, that's not my domain expertise. But in terms of pitching,
Yeah.
and there's a big crossover. Like, pitching is pitching, but then you have like specialities. So, and I have talked to a few people from Breadrin with food related pitches, and people always come in, and I feel like people are pitching through frosted glass.
Okay.
Which means I can't see it. I can see a fuzzy silhouette, but I can't see it with laser focused clarity. And so I was talking to a lady, and she makes West African spices, and she was pitching her product, and it was like a food solution. I don't want a food solution. I want an amazing meal with my friends. Mm-hmm. I want to be a host, and I want to cook a new dish that my friends are going to go, wow, what is this? And I want to create a magic moment. And especially coming off the back of lockdowns, when we do get together, food is the magnet. So like, whenever you're pitching something like this, don't describe what it is. Describe how people will enjoy it, and what kind of moments will they experience, and how will they tell their friends about it. No, don't describe it's a beer made out of low alcohol and it's based on this and sourdough. Tell my story of being a dad who wants to have as close to a beer experience without the alcohol so he can get his kids home safe.
Like the way I started my pitch to Norton High Street was basically, I said, do you have you ever had a moment in life where something has appeared and changed the course of your life? Because that's what happened to me in 2019, where I weren't thinking about going into the drinks industry. I weren't ever planning to brew ever. And then something like this segment on Sunday Brunch describing a drink, and now I'm a founder of a drinks company. It's just crazy. How is that like an entrance, you would say, instead of me going, I make a drink or bread and it's this.
So that's a really amazing founder origin story.
Yeah.
Now everybody has the founder origin story. Everybody has the product story. Everybody has the market story. Everybody has the growth story. And sometimes if you start with your founder origin story, you're talking about yourself.
You need to be consumer. So it's about other people before you.
Exactly. The founder origin story comes in the second part of the pitch, because if all of my first level attention is spent processing who you are, I'm like, this is just information. Why do I care? And as nice as you are, and as amazing as you are, but really my life's busy. I have hundreds of priorities, and now I have to fit you into my life. And that's when we kind of switch off and we just go, oh. At the end, when someone goes, it's not for me. Because you're talking to it. Yet when you've sold them on the value that you create for their customers, then they go, so who are you? And that's when you tell them about watching a TV show, having a massive life pivot, creating a product that you'd never dreamed about creating. And they're like, oh, wow, Kevin's amazing. And so it's a bit like DJing. And when I was in Beijing, I used to VJ. So I was doing the visuals in the back of the clubs on the wall, the big screen visuals. And a lot of my friends were DJs. And then I watched all these international DJs. And they'd come to a club with a bag of records. And then they'd look at the atmosphere in the room and the audience. And then they would maybe play 50% of their records. And they played they had a style, but they played different songs in a different order every night. they had their fillers, you know, the ones that the crowd would roar for, and they, you know, they had a general beginning, middle, and end, and then they would sort of improvise. And it's the same when you pitch. You've got to read the room and think, well, what does this audience need to hear? Is it my story, product story, market story, growth story? Is it an expert product story, or is it a novice product story? And then you sort of can share your message where the audience sees themselves as part of the solution. And in a retail context, a retailer's real objective is making their customers happy. So they don't really, at the beginning, worry too much about the production details, because that doesn't make any impact on, will my customers buy this because they're going to have an awesome dinner party. So I'm always like, share the safest story to share at the beginning is the one where your audience's customers look amazing.
Cool. Right, is there something that you are, a few little quick questions here. So is there anything that you are bitter about currently that you hope to drop, and how do you plan to resolve it?
That I'm bitter about?
Yeah.
I'm not getting enough sleep, and I'm going to bed too late. But with young kids, by the time you get them into bed, you need a little bit of defuse time, but that defuse time is too long. So I'm going to bed at midnight when I should be going to bed at 10:30. So I need to change that.
Cool. We redefine the term IPA. So instead of Indian Pale Ale, we're an ideal plausible alternative. If you chose to redefine anything, what would it be?
So how do you redefine IPA, sorry?
So instead of an ideal Indian Pale Ale, it's an ideal plausible alternative.
I would redefine. I'm always, well, within pitching, I always ask people to pitch and they say, oh, I'm not ready. And I'm like, you don't need to be ready. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to do it. And the more you do it, the readier you get, and you get ready, you get more prepared faster. And so I always feel sad when people won't pitch. And I know that it's something that is well within my comfort zone, but I'm always pushing myself to pitch in situations that I'm not comfortable in. And so I wish that people wouldn't, I'd like to reframe the way people think that they have to be ready to pitch. And like, you get ready by pitching. So just pitch is my thing.
Cool. So are you a fan of brunch?
Brunch?
Yeah.
I recently stopped having breakfast. So I used to be a big breakfast eater. And then I started basically, I think it's called intermittent fasting. And so either, if I'm really hungry, I might have one piece of toast and peanut butter. Whereas I used to have 2 or 3 bits of toast. I used to have fruit and toast for breakfast, but now I probably have breakfast once every 10 days. Okay,
cool. I was going to say, if you like brunch, what would you order food and drink wise? But you've just said toast. So what would you have on your toast?
I love peanut butter on toast. I double toast my toast and then let it cool down. So it's kind of like a crunchy biscuit. And then I smother it on peanut butter. And then what I am quite aware of is, before, like, I used to, enjoy a brunch. We used to go to hotels in Beijing and have some brunches and stuff like that. Now I get very aware of when I'm full, and I wasn't so aware of that. And so now 1 or 2 pieces of crunchy peanut butter toast and a handful of blueberries, and that's me done. Like, I don't need it anymore. And I didn't used to consume like that. I used to consume more, but now I'm and hot milky coffee. I love super strong hot milky coffee.
And what do you think our biggest USP is
for you?
Yeah,
on Breadrin, a tasty low alcoholic beer. It's like, I mean, I would, and I'm talking from like my my positions is one I know most. I'm like, pitch this to dads, and that would be a very logical, clear early market. I remember I went for some drinks with some dads, and they drank a little bit irresponsibly, and then they got in their car, and I was a little bit like, "Whoa, I don't know. I don't think I could do that." Like, I don't. It was just a bit too much to then get in a car, and I think like I should have said something, but I didn't. But I think to sort of pitch this to dads that you can have a tasty drink and still enjoy yourselves, that it's worth, you know, you're not sacrificing flavor, but you're not putting anyone at risk. And you're still having fun. You're still socializing. You're not sitting at home, not doing anything.
I think that might be a good way, because I'm the father myself. So I think, and I don't drink, and I don't drink. I've never been a big fan of beer, but I just don't drink because I drive everywhere, and it just doesn't fit nicely with me driving. So even if it's fun, so, and yeah, thank you for trying.
My pleasure. Appreciate you sharing the Breadrin. I will. A good thumbs up.
That's cool.
Breadrin. And I'll pass to my friend who's got the pub, and then if he's interested, I'll connect you guys.
Yeah, that's very kind of you. Yeah, it's crazy when you meet someone from like the Bread and Jam festival, and then you find a connection somewhere. Yeah, it's really good.
I mean, we're all there on a shared. We're all there to have. We have a motive, like an objective, but then you just meet people you get on with because you're in the same stage of life. You've got the same interests, and off you go.
Yeah, because I'm really glad, because I'm in an iron about putting myself out there to you, because I sat there and I was like, do I talk to, because I saw you've got a VIP bracelet on. I was like, he might be like, oh, not another person into distracting me. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. On the parting note, I mean, it's like anyone who would think like that wouldn't have gone out and been in a social space. I mean, I think like I do it all the time. We overthink stuff so unnecessarily. We think other people are over. It's just like, just do it. Like if someone doesn't want to talk to you, they're just gonna be like, no thanks, carry on looking at their phone. It's no big deal. Like, yeah, I've stopped overthinking things massively recently, and I'm much happier. So just do it.
That's a good note to end on. Have a great day. And enjoy whatever sunshine.
I've got another few calls, and then it's picking the kids up. That's a Monday. It's Monday, isn't it? Yeah. All right,
have a great time.
Cheers.
Martin.